This week we were teaching my 6-year-old how to ride her bike without training wheels, and we were driving all over Sydney to various bike tracks in the Holden Equinox LS Plus. It's the middle of the range in the petrol version, and it competes with the likes of the Mazda CX-5, the Ford EcoSport and the Honda CR-V. Let's see how it stacks up. It's a fairly long car, so both me and my 185cm husband had lots of room in the front. The children, who are aged 4 and 6, also had plenty of room in the back. There were no arguments coming from the back, which is usually how I can tell if there's enough space. It's not the best looking car though. It's quite long, so it feels big, and there's nothing really wrong with it. It just doesn't have that super snazzy modern look. Inside is fairly ordinary. There's a basic looking dash and center console area, and it all works and functions really well, but I feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity to be a little bit luxurious. It's all a bit hard and plasticky. The fabric seats though are actually really nice, because you can get cheap fabric seats and you know as soon as you sit on them how cheap they are, but these feel really lovely and I was completely happy with them. And the steering wheel is leather, as is the gear stick. And I really like the size of the steering wheel. Sometimes steering wheels can be a bit too big for the car almost. I like them to be a bit smaller. This one fits nicely. It's all very practical in here, with 2 cup holders up front, 2 in the back, a bottle holder in each door, plus a really big centre storage bin. And it's odd, but there's a sense of familiarity with this car. I haven't driven an Equinox before, so I feel like it must be just coming from Holden's history passing down from car to car. Either that or it feels dated. Driving is fairly smooth in the Equinox LS Plus. There are no lurchy moments, though I do feel it a tiny bit over bumps. The power is good, even though it's a 1.5 litre engine, it can get me up hills perfectly fine. The steering is responsive and the car handles really well. It was easy to drive around to all the bike tracks this week. The car is quite long, so parking is a tiny bit tight, but it's made easy with a reverse parking camera. But the first thing you'll notice in an Equinox is that instead of the rear collision warnings coming in the form of a beeping sound like every other car, the seat actually vibrates, like right into your bottom, which is a very strange feeling, and to be honest, not something that I warmed to all week. It was kind of weird. The boot is a good height to get bikes in and out, and it's also a good size. The bikes fit easily standing up inside the boot, so it's large, but it's not the biggest in its class. In a CarsGuide comparison, the Equinox had a smaller boot than the Honda CR-V and the VW Tiguan, but it was about on par with the Mazda CX-5. Safety is good in this LS Plus model. It's got airbags covering the driver, front passenger, plus side curtain airbags extending to the back row. Plus you've got all those advanced safety features like auto emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, lane departure warnings. Enjoy those vibrating warnings. I didn't. The tech is good. It's got a 7-inch multimedia screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which means that once you plug in your phone, you're instantly connected to main phone apps like Spotify and Maps. I found the Holden Equinox LS Plus a fairly easy drive for my family of 4 this week, and even though I didn't like those vibrating seats, a few of my CarsGuide colleagues loved them, so it is a bit of a personal thing. I gave it a family rating of 7 out of 10, taking points off for the exterior and interior styling. My children gave it a 7.5 out of 10. My 6-year-old especially loved it because she did learn to ride her bike this week. Thanks very much.